Welcome to that spiritual, actual, factual answers to questions you're asking. You find them inside you, recite you, reciting the records of cash. We laughing, we drafting the passion to vary. It's time for that comedy, dramedy, all of the fanciest, catchiest acronyms. Listeners, listen, we traveling. Conscious is always unraveling. The reading you're having is mapping you back to your natural habitat. Abracadabra, it's magicless, passing it. To top it off, the host, all the classiest. Now, what were you asking for? All of the answers? What? All the answers.
Are you ready? Because I am ready.
You're fucking Isn't that an amazing place that you're staying in?
Okay, Rami's place, Cassidy's partner, who we've had on this podcast, is A, very beautifully located, B, enormous for New York. How is this so large?
Right? For a, quote, studio apartment.
What? I can't. They're in heaven. They live in heaven.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with myself. I'm so happy.
Then they decorated it like, here's the thing. I'm going to talk about Rami. I don't have permission to talk about Rami's life, but I'm going to anyway. I feel whatever. Here's the thing about Rami that y'all should know. Rami's been wanting to live alone for years and didn't even know it. I knew it. And the reason I knew it is because they've wanted to sculpt their space to their exact desired specifications.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
For years without anybody else getting in the fucking way.
Yep.
Yeah, it's amazing. They gave me a tour of it. I haven't been there. I can't wait.
What?
No, they live there. They moved there in September, October,
Okay.
November.
Cassidy, Jamal, Malcolm, Jamorder, Jackson, Brown. The place is, I know you've seen it, but like when you're in it and the view and then the park is right there, half a block, you can't get over it. They're in heaven.
Yeah. They scored.
I can't. Also, like, I guess I'm wondering, to your point that you just made, are there lots of people who, and there must be, don't want to design their home to their exact specifications?
I think everybody wants to a certain extent, but we also give a lot of like, oh, well, practicality or this choice or that aesthetic choice is compromised by, oh,
roommates.
Well, this is the couch I have, or these are the roommates and they're not good at maintaining this particular choice. Like, yeah, I want to keep this item here, but it doesn't make sense to keep it there. So, of course, they're going to keep putting it back in the other shelf, things like that.
I think what we're revealing is I have a lot of white lady privilege around, or just privilege of a number of types around having lived alone a lot.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I'm like, yeah, of course you make your place. What are you talking about? How else are you going to do it? What? Someone else is going to have a voice? I'm an 8. Nobody gets a voice.
I have 0 times lived alone. I'm realizing that at 51, I'm going to tell you guys, I'm 51, almost 52 years old. And I have never, I've lived alone, like, because I was staying in an apartment for 2 months doing a show.
No.
That's not the same at all. That doesn't count in the least.
Mm-mm. You know why you're so comfortable telling us your age?
Because I'm a man.
That's true. But that's not why I think.
Why?
I think it's because you're getting some squeeze. You're getting some sploosh. You're sticking it in. You're getting some poon.
And that's why I'll tell you my age. You just wanted to find any reason to bring that up. And you're like, age, that's a good one. I'm going to go ahead and call him on that one.
It's because that's a good theory. But no, it's because, when you're getting some, you get confident. You're like, I'm good. I'll say whatever because I feel good about myself because I'm putting it where I want to put it. Whatever it might be.
Yeah, baby. It's lovely.
How's all that going?
Fantastic. We took a little trip this weekend, stayed in the woods up in the place, and it was great and super lovely. And, I don't know, it worked. I'll tell you, here's something that might be of use to our...
It worked, meaning your wang worked?
Well, that too.
Were you worried it
Listen,
wouldn't work?
motto track, mind lady. I'm going to talk about the holistic self.
Ugh.
Spirit lady says, ugh, to holistic self conversation. No, I mean, yes, it worked.
Yeah,
That part worked. And not just me personally, but like the whole, again, holistically, sexually, it worked. Two people coming together. You're like, oh no, oops. Sometimes, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're like, good. Oh no, not the right.
Not so much.
But of course, yes, the right. 100%.
That's so good. That's so great. I'm happy for you.
And but my point was going to be,
well, you said holistically.
Yeah, no, we've developed this language that I really appreciate around narratives, because like we've both identified that we are people who can, if not checked, tell a story. We all do it. We 100%, all of us do it. But I think we're both very much like, oh, I'm writing a story in my head about what about what just happened, or about what you're thinking.
Oh yeah.
And then I'm gonna ideate on that enough that I can then make decisions based on my version of the story.
100%.
We do it. We all do it. 100%. I think maybe
100%. Everyone does that.
Yeah. And some people do it more than others. Anyway, I'm just so happy that we immediately had developed this language. Now we use that. We just say that. We'll be like, so I'm telling a story in my head right now.
Yep.
And then you can be like, oh no, that's not the thing. Or, oh yeah, that's absolutely the thing. Great. Now we can deal with it.
I 100% do that all the time with everyone I date. And the ones who don't like it go bye-bye.
Like
we got
to talk about our stories, people.
I don't know. I honestly don't know how you do life if you can't be like, oh, here's the thing I'm projecting. It's probably incorrect, or is it? You tell me. How can you share space with someone if you're not allowed to have that conversation? I'm
in my head going, that couple, those people, those friends, like I can list them out and just, I don't know how. I do know how you suffer in silence a lot, and you make a lot of decisions based on fear and compromise with an unstated reality.
That's when I say how can you, I don't literally mean how. I'm saying, and let me be more clear. I'm saying it's so uncomfortable for me and feels so unconscious to not be on the table and transparent about what I'm projecting, that I can't imagine going back to a reality in which there's no space for that.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, I think people, you're right. I know, how do I say this and keep people's anonymity? But just like, there are plenty of people who just don't, and then just sort of like do stuff the other person wants that they think they want, but they never run it by them. And then they just, that to me seems like the most self-defeating, miserable way to live.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that because maybe it isn't. Maybe for some people it's not that miserable.
I think we find ways to, we definitely find ways to numb certain pieces of pain or points of challenge because all the others feel good enough, and you're like, okay, but if I poke that hornet's nest, like this is a beautiful forest, and there's this hornet's nest over here, and I love this forest. I'm all about the metaphors, but like, you know what? I'm just not going to poke that hornet's nest, even though there's possibly a pot of gold underneath it. But if I don't poke the hornet's nest, I can keep looking at this beautiful forest.
I see.
But I am getting stung kind of repeatedly. So maybe I should remove the hornet's nest. But those stings aren't killing me. Oof, boy. So I'm just like, ow, yeah, it's fine. I guess I get stung by hornets. Pretty good metaphor, right? I kind of dragged it out.
You wrote it to the end of its abilities, I'd say.
I told the story.
That horse is tired now because you rode him to the end of the line. Listen, but I guess, to me, you know what that sounds like? That sounds like the thinking of a 9 on the Enneagram. But you're a 3.
I know, but 3s tend to ninehood pretty easily. They're part of the 3-6-9 path triangle, closed triangle.
Okay.
Yeah, we travel to 9 pretty easily. Plus, I'm a 2. Plus, I think I'm a 2-wing, so like that's also kind of 2-y.
It is kind of 2-y.
Well, the caretakery part is kind of 2-y, but not as much. It's more 9.
You know how that makes sense. You know how the each number disintegrates to a number and then evolves to a number?
Supposedly, but I've been getting information from other sources, mainly through Rami and Rami's godmother, who's a super duper expert, woo-woo, everything on the Enneagram. Yeah. Who kind of, it's like, yeah, that's kind of a reductionist way of looking at it. It's just, you can get, you travel pretty easily. Doesn't necessarily mean disintegrate or integrate towards or against. But point being, the thing I like about the integrate disintegrate idea is it helps me
particularly as an 8, it helps me because 8s, I guess, theoretically, if this is still true, integrate towards a 2 and disintegrate towards a 5.
Right. So what we're saying, just to explain to our viewers, is on the Enneagram, both of which we are both fans and somewhat slightly knowledgeable dabblers. You more than me, probably more.
Studious.
I'm more of a dabbler. You're a little more knowledgeable, I think. But then I get these little nuggets. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Supposedly, one way of looking at it is, so like Katie's an 8. And when Katie's like doing good, like in a space of growth and harmony and all the good things, she can tend to also travel into the realm of the, what'd you say?
2.
Of the 2. So more like a healthy 2. The sort of positive aspects of 2hood start to show up more in Katie's personality.
Right. And when I'm not doing well, like I'm overly tired and I'm not very conscious and I'm in a reactive space, I'll tend toward the behaviors of an unhealthy 5.
Right.
And so to be more specific, just because we can, for people who are curious, so an 8 is the challenger. I tend to be very direct. I'm going to ask you the questions nobody else is going to ask. I might tend towards clarity, truth-telling, leadership, but also like bluntness, vengeance, pushiness. And then if I'm doing real well and I'm real integrated, I'm going to lean towards those 2 behaviors, which are more about the healthy 2 behaviors: giving, caring about other people, service, contribution to the world, and using my leadership to give and to love and to connect and to serve. That's my growth direction. And then when I'm disintegrating, I'm heading toward an unhealthy 5 where I'm isolating, I'm hiding out, I'm avoiding people, I'm in my head, I'm researching alone. That's like not where I'm meant to be. The reason I mention all of that is because whether the disintegration, integration idea is actually supported by all the Enneagram, people, burp. That was a burp that came through my nose.
Yeah, they burn a little, but they also smell.
Yep. Correct. That tends to be very, very true for me. That disintegration, integration thing. Like I watch my life, and when it's rolling and clicking and going well, boy, am I heading toward healthy 2dom. And when it's not, boy, am I alone in my house researching things in my head. It's so true because as an 8, people are so afraid of us when we're not in our right alignment. And we're such aggressors that you, as an 8, just start to feel like I'm such a terrible person and I'm just harming everyone I interact with that I should just be alone in a cave like Sasquatch.
Right. Well, and I can imagine if being in a relationship with you, if I was sort of if I was in awe of you because of your awesome 8ness and a little in fear of you because of your awesome 8ness, I would probably not want to poke the hornet's nest. I would be like, well, that's a thing. I love being with her. So I'm going to keep just dodging that little piece of fear.
Except that in my case, I've done so much work on this that I try to be really like open and receptive to what people need to poke at me with because of all the years of being, I just get it now. But
well, like, and you'll know the poking. You'll be like, you're not poking, are you?
Yeah.
You're like, I feel like there's something you want to poke at here. And I don't mean in the way that I want you to right now.
I think you should poke me. I feel like you want to poke me, but you're not poking me.
I think we've changed subjects now.
Did you want to put your penis into some part of my body holes?
And by that, I mean your metaphorical spiritual penis into my personality hole. Jesus.
My soul hole.
I don't even know what this means anymore.
Yes, you do. Okay, so I'm in Rami's house, your partner. I'm in Brooklyn, MF, New York, right this second at Cassidy's life partner's dwelling space.
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
Crazy, A. And B, I'm so excited we're doing the podcast right now because you have to help me remember. Was it last episode where I told the story of how the Healing Center is a tree of light that has a route that goes to Brooklyn or that goes to Harlem?
It was either it's one that hasn't come out. I don't know if it was the last one we recorded or the two, because we're stacking up. We got a few ahead, which is good.
We're ahead. Okay. So people know what that is. I'll give a brief recap of it in a minute, just in case you're picking this whole podcast up right here for some reason. But I'm in the part of the world where the portal of light comes out. Mm-hmm. And so what I wanted, for me in my life, this is like big stuff, because I moved to a town that, for reasons that were sort of mysterious, that now I have this whole purpose going on. And the other end of the portal of the purpose is here in New York, where I traveled to. Side note. So that's exciting. And when we go in the records, I'd like to look at that. And I'm very excited. I want the guidance on where exactly in New York does this portal of light shoot out in New York? Do I need to go there physically since I'm visiting?
And you think it's in Harlem somewhere, right?
I think so, but I'm open to that being incorrect or needing to be adjusted. Yeah. That was initially where I saw it, but who the hell knows? And also, like, since I'm here, I feel like if the records are wanting me to, if my team up there is wanting me to facilitate some kind of something, since I'm here at the other end of the portal, I'm down. I'm here. I flew here. So I'm very excited to see what's going to happen. And I was telling
this image
Rami,
of you going to like a grate, like finding some grate that's got like leaves on it and stuff that's a little bit covered over, and you're like, that's it. And you just lift up the grate and all stuff starts just shooting out that no one else can see. Like people are walking by, but you're like, you guys, there's an oil well shooting out of the ground right here of spirit.
Here.
And
look over here.
They're like, I've got to go to this store, this bodega here on the corner.
Rami was saying, they were saying, it's like you're like a light detective. You're like a spiritual detective. You're on a case. I can't wait to hear what happens.
It's totally.
Yeah. So that's exciting. We'll do that in the records, and I'll recap a little bit more about that as we get to that. Before then, I had an entertaining story to share with the listeners and you about my travels here, if I may.
You may.
I dub thee aloud.
Permission granted.
I have, and this could be a fun thing for like future episodes. I have a radical, powerful, terrible fear of and panic attack response to turbulence on airplanes.
Yeah.
And
that is an understandable fear.
Oh my God. It kicked in my 30s after a car accident that I caused. I do not have fear of cars or car accidents, just turbulence on airplanes, which I never had before that moment in my life. Never had it. Fine on airplanes forever, travel the world, didn't care. All of a sudden, terror, like the kind of terror where I am squeezing hard the hand of the stranger next to me, whoever is sitting there. I am crying. I'm going like that. My body is jumping with each lurch of the plane. I am a mess.
And this level of it happened on this trip?
Cassidy, there was an hour and a half of straight turbulence. An hour and a half. I was an anxiety-ridden, sobbing mess for a straight hour and a half. There was an older gentleman to my right. His name was Lloyd. God bless you, Lloyd from Maryland. He and I are bonded for life.
He has some of your skin embedded in his own, is what you're saying.
I am saying precisely that. He held my hand. He was an ex-firefighter. He was probably in his 80s or late 70s. He was the nicest man ever. I mean, it was really, really bad. It was not good. And a lot of times, like, turbulence will last 5 or 10 minutes. This just didn't freaking end. And the pilot kept coming on. It wasn't good.
Yeah, I think I'd have been halfway towards you on that one.
Really?
For that.
Like
yeah. Especially when it's sustained like that, I start to spin into, and it's partially because that's when I can start telling a story of this is going to end badly.
Now, I don't even, I hear that. I get that. My version of it is fully in the body. There's no brain. I become like an infant baby who is just panicked and sobbing and cannot be consoled until the turbulence ends.
Wow.
The millisecond it stops happening and we're in smooth air, I'm like, oh, hey, anyway, what were we chatting about? I'm fine. It's fully irrational. It's very brainstem primitive trauma. I'm sure it's from my 6-month-old trauma somehow getting redirected to there. But what upsets me is Cassidy, I've done so many modalities of healing on this topic. I have tried to get this thing like integrated, cleared, whatever. I don't have a solution, and I'm the person who finds solutions to these things. I can't.
Right. You bring the light to things, and you can't shining the light, and it's just like bouncing off. Or
yeah, I've got no solution, and I'm ready for whatever modality is going to integrate this, so I don't have to have panic attacks when an airplane is bumpy, because I want to travel the world more. So anyway, that happened. It's so terrible. Thank God the last like hour and a half, maybe hour, was smooth. I land in Baltimore, Maryland, and I'm supposed to get on a second flight to get to New York. I did not get on that flight.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, oh, no. I'm not doing that again. My luggage stayed on the flight and went to New York, to Long Island. I got off of the plane in Baltimore, Maryland, found an Amtrak, and took a 3.5-hour train to Penn Station. Penn Station, if you don't know, is in Manhattan and is a 2-hour other train ride to the airport in Long Island where my shit was.
Yeah.
So I took a 5-hour trip. So 3 hours on the train to get to New York, then 2 hours to get to Long Island to get my luggage.
On what would have been a 70-minute plane flight. Yeah.
That's right. By the time I got to my luggage, you had to take, it's complicated, but I had to take an Uber from the Long Island Railroad train to the airport in Long Island. The Uber driver was the nicest guy in the world. He waited for me when I got my luggage. I came back out, and then he drove me another hour back into Brooklyn to my hotel, which was in Dumbo, another part of Brooklyn that was an hour away from Long Island. So it was a 6-hour drive, a 6-hour process on 3 different modes of transportation.
Costing a total of like $630 extra.
Actually, fair enough. But what it actually cost was about $300 to do that.
The train, and then
the train,
probably
the train,
the huge amount.
Uber.
The Uber was probably the most overall.
Here's what it was. I'll break it down. It was $152 extra to take the 3-hour train ride, $15 to take the train to Long Island, $80 to take the Uber to get my luggage and then get back to Brooklyn.
That's not bad.
Now, the end of the story, and the reason I'm even bothering with the story, it was just like a crazy, harrowing, difficult day. But the Uber driver, we get like, I don't know, a third of the way on our way. It's an hour-long Uber ride. That's a long Uber ride. And he asks me how my day was. I tell him. He feels so bad for me. He's like, I'm taking you to Dunkin' Donuts. And here in town, in the East Coast, I forgot or maybe didn't know, Dunkin' Donuts is freaking everywhere.
Yeah.
Big ass chain. We go to Dunkin' Donuts. I get 2 chocolate covered donuts that made my life. They were the best donuts I've ever eaten. We did the drive-through. We get to talking. Turns out he's a Muslim from Pakistan. I went to a Sufi healing school, as you may know. I start speaking to him in Arabic. I'm saying Arabic prayers to him. He cries, tears. He can't believe the white lady in the back of his car is saying the Fatiha with him. I'm going to cry thinking about it. We meet on the soul level. He's like, what? How do you know Fatiha? How? And I go, well, I went to the Sufi healing school. And then I start saying these other prayers I know. And he's like, you know the Kuls? You can't know the Kuls. White people don't know the Kuls. This is like shit from deep inside the Quran that there's no reason I should know. We are soul brothers and sisters now. He invited me to go to the Hamptons with him. He's like, what are you doing on the weekend? I'll take you to the Hamptons. My wife is in Pakistan. We'll get on FaceTime. You'll meet her. It'll be great. Because Muslim people, I'm going to generalize now in a wonderful way, are some of the most welcoming, generous, community-oriented, my house is your house. We've been friends for 5 minutes, so I'm going to make you dinner and coffee, and you can't leave until I've heard your whole life story, people.
Yeah.
And he just was like, oh, you're my sister, Sufi sister, alhamdulillah. And we're speaking Arabic, and it was stunning and beautiful. And he took me to my hotel and had a fantastic night in my hotel in Dumbo. And the whole day ended great.
God, that's beautiful.
That train ride was beautiful too. From Maryland up through Jersey, up through Philly, into New York. I just could not have been happier.
That's amazing. I love that. Yeah.
Isn't that great?
And you didn't have to shit yourself.
Oh my God. I mean,
additionally.
See, I love that kind of story because it's like, sure, I could sit around all day and judge myself for not being able to get on a second airplane, or I can go, look at all these miracles I got to experience and the beauty I got to taste because I was on this beautiful train and then I met this lovely man. We had a great afternoon. Me and my luggage.
Your luggage was a little lonely. It sat there for a while. Did you have to go to the claim office instead of?
Went to the claim office.
There's like, hey lady, who's the person supposed to pick this shit up?
100%. But the Islip Airport in Long Island is like the size of your living room, teeny tiny.
Huh.
Tiny airport. And there was one lady left, nobody in the airport, one terminal, easy to navigate, one lady in the old luggage area. And she was like, oh, you're Katie. We've been waiting for you. And I was like, nice to see ya. Turned out that lady used to live in Florida, where I'm from. After living in Florida, she moved to Colorado, where I currently live, met her husband, got married, moved back to New York. And I was like, so you're living my life is what you're saying. You're my twin? What's happening right now? We bonded. It was great. It was easy to get. There was no line. There were no other people. It couldn't have been easier.
Wow.
And that was my day.
I love that. I love that shit that happens to you, Katie. It just, and it doesn't happen to you. There's just the shit you walk into. It's the shit that you surround yourself with by giving yourself permission to, and there's maybe some 8 in there of like saying, I'm not going to do it that way because that doesn't work for me. I'm going to do it this way. No, that's a crazy idea. I don't care. That's the way I'm going to do it because it's how I'm drawn to do it. And
Thank you.
You shape your life. This is my perception of it, but like you end up being able to like find the ways to resource yourself in order to follow those
right.
Whims is a slightly denigrating term, but to follow those impulses, those desires, and it's, and because you often need resources to do those things, but then you shape your life in a way that resources you so that you can do those things. And
right.
And it's not like you're going, I'm going to get money so I can spend money on a train.
Right.
But
it's more like I need to the way I frame that piece, that's a good, thank you for that reflection, is I like making a fair amount of money so that when life happens, I don't have to make choices that make my life really hard and painful if I don't have to. Like I would have had a miserable night if I had to get on another airplane. It was this bad. I got off the plane in Baltimore and sobbed a lot. Not the good sobbing that I did when I got to Penn Station, where I was like, I'm so grateful to be in New York. I can't stop crying from joy. Different sob. Terror, sad, grief, trauma sob. Wow. I called Rami, actually, leaving messages being like, I'm coming to your house tomorrow, but I just have to say I'm a mess right now because the plane, it was shaking. I'm fucked up. But if I had to do that again in the same night, that would have been awful. But instead, I could care for myself and do a thing that was beautiful. The train, I have I had a beer. I ate crackers and cheese. I looked at the countryside. It was a wonderful time. So anyway, if I were not prioritizing income making, like having a business that's abundant, you're right. I wouldn't have been able to make that choice, but it's such an important choice to me because of how sensitive I am. I sort of can't get away with living in this world haphazardly. Like I have to have resources because this system is too sensitive I can't just couch surf. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Through life, I have to at least Airbnb through life.
I mean, I will say, and you probably would too, were you to do it. I have had some of the deepest, most those kind of experiences only literally because of couch surfing, like couchsurfing.com, where you actually have a coordinated couch surfing situation with amazing people, including like experiencing a host culture in Turkey.
Yes.
And going, how are these people just continuing to give to us, even though we're crashing on their couch, they're taking us out to dinner and we can't make it work any other way. They won't let it, that energy of like, this is so amazing. And it's amazing because walking into a quote, less comfortable choice often.
Yep.
I've crashed on a dirty ass couch, but because I was crashing on that dirty ass couch, I was hanging out with like a 25-year-old Russian guy in Scotland who was building what are they called? When you make a prosthetic hands for people using his 3D printer. He was part of a network of people who use 3D printers to build prosthetic hands for people who've lost their hands to like genocidal problems.
Jesus Christ.
And like, who is this guy? And I get to hang out with him. We go to the fucking local pub and just meet amazing weirdos, and if I'd have been in an Airbnb, would not have met any of those people because I would have been ivory towered isolated.
Of course. But here's my counter to that.
Yeah.
Muslim Uber guy.
Right. Amazing. But that was you also, going into a situation where you were going into someone's space, but yeah, it allowed you, all the choices you made also allowed you to interact with other humans. They didn't isolate you at all.
Necessitated that I interacted with a lot of humans. You're right.
Yeah.
But I hear what you're saying. It's that the vulnerability of needing people gets you into a place where you meet people.
Yeah.
And then you learn new things and you're connecting with new cultures, which is certainly not something I'm above or don't like doing.
Yeah.
It's more just about like, I need to be able to take a train if I need a train because my body is falling apart. I'm not going to be in the back of somebody's truck while I'm having a spiritual unfolding that includes me needing to close my eyes for 3 hours.
And let me grant that, like, even my couch surfing metaphor, like, there's a lot of comfort involved with that. Like, I'm not backpacking and living rough as a result of that. Like, I'm staying in a home. Yeah.
Well, do we want to get in the records or where are we at?
Sure. I love it. I am enjoying all of this, but you said you had some good record question to get into, and we haven't done it a lot lately. So I think we should definitely.
Yep. And the record question I want to get into is the thing I was talking about moments ago about I'm going to open, I believe the way I want to do this, and we'll follow it as we go, but I want to open the records of the Divine Light Healing Center in Memphis and be like, so this portal that we're connecting with New York, what's the story?
Yeah.
And I'm in New York. What would you have me do? Now, let me recap the listener in case just very, very briefly about what I'm talking about. Probably you could use a recap too, right, on this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Would not hurt.
So a few months ago, I opened the records of the Divine Light Healing Center. It showed me, it took me through this whole process where the center as a portal of light, okay, dropped all these tree roots underneath the ground that were made of light. The light traveled to all the houses in Memphis. Then the portal extended upward above the building, and then it fanned out all these tree branches and leaves of light over the town of Memphis. And then additionally, it dropped this huge Jack and the Beanstalk root down into the ground that traveled across the country and shot out of the cement in Harlem, in New York. And then that was it. And it was sort of spraying light out of the sidewalk in Harlem. And I'm going, okay, what was that about? What do I do with that vision that just happened that I could feel very clearly in my body was happening for real? So at the time I was left with, okay, I guess the Divine Light Healing Center needed me to help facilitate this building of this connection between Memphis and New York, but I had no idea why or what it was about or da-da-da. Then I meet my current man friend, Newman Manfredson, who connects me with a friend of his who I have a very awkward, weird interaction with in his kitchen, but where useful information came out, which was I told that new friend about the thing with the beanstalk route going to New York. And he explained, oh, that's because New York is a portal of light that sends information and energy out to the world. That's the whole thing of New York, is anything that comes through New York and leaves from New York hits everybody because it's like an amplifier of information and energies that get sent everywhere. Once he told me that, even though he was not my favorite person and I don't need to hang out with him again, that information was incredibly helpful. I went back into the records of the Divine Light Healing Center and I was like, is this why we're doing this New York thing? And they were like, ding, ding, ding. Yes, yes, yes. So then it started to, the light that is traveling from Memphis, Colorado through this route and spraying up in Harlem. Now that I knew why New York, it started to spray up into I don't know if I shared this part, but up into the ozone layer. It showed me like the light traveling up above the earth and spraying out around the entire planet. And I thought it was going to sort of descend on the people, but it stayed up in the ozone. And I sat there for a while and watched it contribute to the ozone layer, like to healing the protective, because you know how that thing is happening right now with the earth where there's this thing happening the scientists are talking about where the center of something in this, I'm going to be very ignorant while I talk about this, but something in the center of the earth is heating up in a way that is contributing even more horrors to the ozone layer and to the protective layers of the atmosphere of the earth. Newman Manfredson told me the technical thing that it's called, but I can't remember right now because I'm so bad at that kind of stuff. But anyway, and we know the ozone layer is struggling and we know the external protective layers of the earth are struggling. So there I was watching this light like patch up and fill in like holes and injuries in the ozone layer. By the way, none of this is shit I planned. None of this shit was my intention. I didn't have any intentionality around this. I just was like, I'm opening the records and asking, what am I here to do? How can I serve? What do you need? And this happened. So then I had this strong impulse to come to New York to be like, okay, what happens if me, the facilitator of this light transmission, is in the other end of the portal? Is that useful? Do you want me to do that? So in my own records and in the Healing Center's records, it was like, yes, please go now, go. So here I went, suffering painfully on a turbulent, miserable flight for the sake of spreading goddamn divine light all over the goddamn planet.
Goddamn divine light. Fucking giving me these tasks and shit I gotta do.
Help the people of the world. It's a nightmare. So anyway, I'm here. I want to open the records of the center and be like, A, is it Harlem or did I get that part wrong? B, what now? Is there what now? I'm here. What do you need?
Yeah. I love that. That's exciting. It's fun.
Excited.
This is the I Heart Huckabees episode.
What do you mean?
You remember that movie?
My high school boyfriend, my second high school boyfriend, wrote that movie.
What?
And
you know,
directed
it's about spiritual detectives, right? Remember?
That's right.
Yeah, it's I think Lily Tomlin and Dustin Hoffman, I think, play like not psychic detectives. That's a different thing, but like esoteric spiritual detectives. I have to see it again because like I don't see movies that like multiple times, but that's one I feel like I should see again because I loved it when I saw it.
How Jeff Baina, very talented Jeff Baina.
Never heard that name.
Who I dated for a couple years, maybe 2 years, maybe a year and a half, all through high school. Very talented guy. Immediately after high school, he went to NYU. He did the filmmaking thing. He met David O. Russell somehow really fast after in New York, went to LA, met him, got connected. They made I Heart Huckabees like this. Bing, bing, pow.
Wow.
Yeah, that guy was a badass ninja who...
That is cool as hell.
Isn't that incredible? Years later, when I was working as an actor, I hadn't talked to him in 100 years. And I messaged him like, hey, I'm moving to LA. And he was kind of like, cool. What does that have to do with me? And I was like,
wow.
I wanted to connect. And to be fair to his kind of point, I didn't really know what I was asking for. I was kind of like, we could connect. We could be friends. I don't know. Who knows? But his energy was very like, I don't know what you're asking me and I don't know how to help you. Then I was like, okay, bye. I'm so uncomfortable.
God,
okay, bye.
That speaks to that, the energy of, and I understand it. Like as soon as there's a certain whatever leveling of wherever you are in whatever world, you then know that you are surrounded by people who want something from you.
100%.
And it sucks to not be able to trust your own past as a result of that. I've run into that with like a friend who became a famous rock star, and I like seeing him backstage at an event and being like, hey, what's up? And they were like, hey, I'm going to this other thing and I'm not going to acknowledge that we actually have a long past, beautiful, lovely friendship.
Well, and let's be more transparent and more honest and more fair and say like, there of course was a part of me that was like, well, I'd like to be connected with Jeff Baina.
What can I get from it? Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, 100%. But also like, I want to have coffee and see how you're doing and be people together. It was both. But to his credit, fuck me. Who the fuck am I? He doesn't have to be my friend. We dated 1,000 years ago. Why would he do that?
Yeah.
You know? So I don't want to paint him like some kind of monster. It was more just hard.
Think it's a hard space to have to be coming from, to then have to, like, I don't know, have suspicion inherent in motive.
Totally.
Because of where
well,
how you're
that
positioned.
Thing too of, like, I was just reading an article about Selena Gomez in a magazine on the airplane, because as I was trying not to die, I was like, distract with reading. It's not working. I'm going to die. But this, any famous person is going to talk about, it comes up, like she openly talked about in this interview. I think it was I can't remember which magazine, but she just said, it's really hard to never know when and she said, she went so far as to say, I actually do know that anyone I meet, I can't trust if what their actual motive is, because except for people who knew me before, which is why she's got, like, one of her family members, I think it's her mom, but I could be wrong, and two of her childhood friends living in her house in LA with her, because she's like, these are my people because they were with me before I was anything. And they loved me then, and they loved me through all the hard shit, and they still love me. And she says at the end of the article, or the way the writer constructed it was, they put this at the end of the article, I wish I could go back and erase it all and meet someone who loves me for me. Yeah. Because she's fucking Selena Gomez. How the hell could you ever know what someone wants from you, that, if they love you actually, or if they're, I've thought about that with Britney Spears a lot, like when she was marrying a bunch of people. And then one time she did an interview and she's like, cool. I'm done being married to people because nope.
That was flailing for something. Yeah.
Just like if you're Britney fucking Spears, who is marrying you for you? Who? Right. They're not. Yeah. I mean, unless they're a media mogul or a titan of industry, or they're a billionaire who doesn't need your fame or your money. And then you can maybe trust that they like you for you. Yeah. And then, though, even like, what is, God, there's a rabbit hole to fall into. Like, what is the you? What is the identity? Can I also, yes, part of what I love about you is, in a sense, what you have to offer me. Like, so like that connection. Yeah. Like, what if there's a way to, like, be pure with that being also included? Like, well, of course I'm attracted to you because you're famous. That's a given. But I'm actually attracted to you, of which fame is part of. Fame and power is part of you. I think that's the goal. I mean, I think if you're in that position, that's the goal. That would be the goal. I mean, you can't pretend, if you're J-Lo and you're marrying, what's his name? A-Rod? No. A-Rod? She's married to some big famous guy who's a sports guy. Okay. Let me look it up. I forget. I was just reading about it. I should know it. I don't know it. I'm going to find out right now. J-Lo's husband. Everybody listening is like, you guys, really? It's this. They're shouting they're walking down the street in their headphones, just yelling an athlete's name. Yeah. Athlete's name. Alex Rodriguez. I think that's A-Rod. That is A-Rod. Yeah. I didn't know that. I still think of Madonna, because I think they dated 100 years ago. That sounds right. Yeah. So we need a fact checker. Bad. If you're J-Lo and you're married to A-Rod, if you're Beyonce and you're married to Jay-Z, yeah. Part of why you're Beyonce married to Jay-Z is because you get each other's badassery. You meet the badassery. Right. Levels. And you're kind of on equal footing in the regards of like what you can get, quote, from the other person. So that's why, a lot of celebrities, I love seeing when celebrities meet and marry, randos, but like, who's like a super accomplished lawyer, but is not famous. George Clooney is married to an international lawyer who's way more of a badass than he is. That's right. But that's my point, is that part of why you marry that person, if you're George Clooney, if you're Beyonce, if you're J-Lo, is because you have accomplished so much. You need someone who's accomplished as much to respect them. How do you marry someone who's like, I don't know, I do a lot of napping? You would have no respect for them, because you have what it takes to be where you are. You have lived through and done and accomplished. Right. Therefore, you're going to have a hard time, I think. Like, don't you think, respecting like a person who like substitute teaches 4 days a week?
Yeah, you definitely. Yeah.
What do you think? I'm ready to be wrong.
I mean, there's definitely stories of like celebrities married to people who don't appear that quote accomplished, but there's something very deep and powerful and true about their heart, I guess, or the celebrity loves to be adored and worshipped, and they are filling an awful hole in their own soul. What do I fucking know? I can't be inside that space because it is so foreign to me.
But think of it even this way. You're Cassidy Jamal Jackson, Malcolm Jamal Warner Brown.
Fucking A right I am.
Right? And if some 18-year-old girl who wants to be an actor and wants to do regional theater in the Bay Area, and she's never done any shows and she's waiting tables, is like looking at you like, can we date? You're going to be like, oh boy, she's going to want stuff from me. I'm going to have to teach her the ropes. I can't make your career happen for you. You have some status in a certain circle of people, and you would rather, I'm going to presume, you tell me if I'm wrong, you'd rather be with someone who also has accomplished a certain amount of things because you respect them for having done that and you're equals. You're not like, okay, I'm going to teach this young one or give these things I've learned after all these years of all that work you've done away to this 18-year-old.
Yeah, I'm still just hung up on you're trying to make me date an 18-year-old thing. And that and let's talk about my 3. That's all about my perception. People can be like, what the fuck is wrong with that guy?
Okay,
oh, gross.
Let's say she's
so I can't
35.
But she's hasn't, right. But she's just like coming into the scene somehow.
Just starting out as an actor. Used to be a waitress for fun. Now wants to act.
Yeah.
How easy and fun is that going to be for you?
I think that's true. Yeah. So I think we can generalize and just say like, yeah, if you want someone who at least has similar energy, but they could be like super accomplished or not even super accomplished. But they need to be engaged. That for me, when I've tried dating people that were outside of my world completely, it often doesn't work because I just don't feel like they're engaged in something that they care about. So that's why I tend to date creatives, because it's easy to measure that. You can be like, oh, you're I don't know, even if there's something else. Well, like Denise is a visual artist, and I can feel at every moment their creative and skill in existence, and as a result, I'm not trying to match. Like I'm not trying to pull something out of them.
Okay, right, exactly. Here's what I'm saying. That person, Denise, is clearly grown up and evolved enough and has done enough stuff in their life that you can feel a kind of equality of investment in life. Investment in self.
And it doesn't have to, see, for me, I think I'm measuring it because it doesn't have to be like measurable accomplishment, like, ranked up in your, you know what I mean?
I see. Mm-hmm. But commitment and investment to something.
Yeah.
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 I hear you. I think, it's the thing I've been thinking about a fair amount, because it's like, what if it's someone who, okay, here's a theoretical for you. What if Denise, I'm going to make this up about her because it's not true, I'm sure, because I don't know Denise. But let's say Denise is like super engaged, super good at what she does. Let's say she's a baker. She owns a bakery, okay, but she's brand new at starting out in her bakery life.
Right.
And the bakery hasn't done well yet. It's good. It's going along. She's earning a living. And you see that she's very intelligent, very committed, very engaged. But the bakery's not making a ton of money yet. And it's not the one that everybody goes to. How would that be for you? If they're brand new, but engaged?
I think I'm okay. I think I'm great in that situation, because it's not about the achievement as much as it is the internal engagement of care.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. But I think we're talking about similar things, honestly, in terms of where we came from, which is like celebrities need to date people who are of a similar energy, because I actually don't think of myself I think of myself as successful in a certain way, but most of my success can't be measured by ranking. Like my IMDb ranking doesn't exist, or my, you know what I mean? But But if you get granular with, you're like, oh, you work all the time. Oh, and you're making this podcast and you're engaged. I'm engaged in myself and in the world.
Hold on, though. But wait, I have to argue this point a little bit and push back a little, because if there were a Bay Area theater IMDb, you are high ranking in the hierarchy of Bay Area theater IMDbing. If that were a thing, and I'm a young actress starting out in town, and I meet Cassidy Brown, who's worked at all these theaters for all these years and knows every person in town, you are at the top of that echelon. Do you not agree? I
appreciate that perception. We're all fucking neurotic shitbags that think of ourselves as not as good as the person who's above us. We've talked about this, and I've disengaged with that to a certain extent because of COVID, and yay, happy times. But yes, I get what you're saying, and I do agree with it for the most part. I still like not really, but if
someone, I know, but everybody, I hear you, but you can acknowledge that if someone came in and had 0 credits and had worked at 0 theaters in the Bay Area, you would seem to them like George Clooney seems to a new actor in LA.
Right.
Because you've done all the things that new person wishes and hopes they can one day do.
Yeah.
And so the question would be, would you want to really get into a real committed relationship with someone who was just starting out and not as established?
Yeah, no.
Exactly. And the reasons you wouldn't are the reasons J-Lo can't date the guy who sweeps up her apartment building. Not because she's better than him, but because having done what she's done, how can you relate and connect with someone who hasn't gone through and had to face and deal with
right
what you've had to, taking you again as an example, think about like every bit of energy and all the networking and all the goddamn auditions and all the headshots and all the running the Willows and then doing the audition stuff that you did and the coaching and then meeting people, and this show led to that show, led to that show. You can't give that to someone because you have to go through it, and you went through it.
I'm actually going to be very specific about what the no that I agreed with you on.
Okay.
Is if it is specific to my world. I think
industry.
I could, yeah. Like if that were the industry, or that were the thing they were trying to engage with, because I know that very particularly, I would then have a little like, oh God, okay, here we go. Like that.
So you don't think if they were like a 35-year-old, but brand new at painting,
but we're amazing at it and we're engaged with it. No, I think I'd be great with that.
Huh.
Because I wouldn't having to be it for me, it would be the holding their hand through the particular thing that would be hard to watch. But if it's something I don't actually know anything about, but I'm excited about, you're as good as I am on that. In a sense, we're equals in that, except they're better than me in that.
What if it's something they're really good at and you're not interested in it, but you're impressed with how good they are at it?
Also good.
Okay.
Also great. Have experienced that and feel good about that.
Got it.
So I think we're honing in on like and that speaks to the original thing of like this screenwriter being suspicious of you specifically.
Yep.
In this regard.
Sure.
If you'd have not been in his industry,
right,
and you'd have been like, hey, I'm moving to LA to be an interior designer and I'm really into it and I know that you're there and that's awesome, he may have gone like, great.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Coffee.
Let's have coffee. But because you're in his world,
it's a threat.
Then the suspicion goes.
Of course. And he was right. He was right to have that suspicion. He should have had that suspicion.
Look, he wrote I Heart Huckabees. He understands about intuition.
And let's use that as a transition to the records, shall we?
Yes.
Yeah, no, he was right. And that was good. For me, it was a tricky thing because there was that side of it where I was like, I already felt kind of sleazy contacting him. Like, should I bond?
Right.
But then the other part of me was like, we like made sweet, sweet love for 1.5 years and like, we're best friends for a long time in high school. Like,
that's the part.
Can't we like, even if you never helped me in any way with anything to do with the business, couldn't we like have coffee and like high five each other for a second and like maybe meet each other's partners?
I kind of agree. This is why I'm a little like, why I was a little critical of it. It's like, yes, of course you should be, quote, suspicious, but also like we do have this foundation. It's kind of like we earned, like I do owe it to people I love in my past. Like if my cousin, like if my nephew wanted to get into theater, I'm not going to resent that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to think, well, I'm suspicious of your desire to use. Of course you should fucking use me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like that's why I'm a little edged with it, where I'm like, yeah, you made Sweet Sweet Love, and did you break up amicably?
We broke up at the end of high school, right before we went to college. And at the very end, this is a funny story actually, and it speaks to my own crazy at that time. I broke up with him right before we went to college, and we all came back for Christmas break. All my high school friends all met back in my hometown, and he had a new girlfriend, and I invited him and his new girlfriend to my like pool party at the house to connect with everyone, because I was determined to like show up like someone who was cool with it. I was like, I'm going to be cool with it. I'm going to be good. I was not good. I was so uncomfortable. He's there with this like hot, thin, good looking lady in my living room, and she's sitting on his lap. And it's been 6 months since we broke up, and I'm not over it. And I wanted to be over it. So I acted like I was over it. I was not over it. It was really uncomfortable. But see, that's the kind of shit I used to do, where I'd be like, I would like bypass my own emotional truth. I think honestly, I wasn't even aware of my own emotional truth, and I wanted it to look like, I'm good. I got this. I'm an 8. I'm in control. You can't make me feel bad. We're friends now. I'm good. And I was not. But I hadn't learned how to be emotionally vulnerable yet, Cassidy.
Nope.
How to learn how. Okay, let's do this now.
Yeah.
Shall we? Oh, I told Rami I would invite them in the room when we do this. Is that cool with you?
Yeah.
Have them. They're in the other room.
Oh. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I was like, how about when we open the records, you come in and then we can all go in the records.
Cool. Get Rami on the... Okay.
I'll be right back.
Get Rami on the podcast. I thought Rami was on a trip. Hey. What? Rami in the background, sitting in the corner, listening to the records. Hi, Rami.
Hi.
we still, Rami and I owe each other a phone call, because we haven't caught up in a few days and we haven't been able to connect. Katie at this point knows more about my awesome trip than you do.
So, okay, I'm going to open the records of Rami, Cassidy, and the Divine Light Healing Center, and myself. We're going to do a little healing for the two of you, for whatever you require, desire, whatever wants to come through. Then I'm going to ask all my questions of the healing center and Brooklyn and the whole thing.
Great.
See like a plan? Okay. Oh, yes, I do need your legal name. Yeah, where does Rami come from with all that? Huh.
Yeah, but I'll say it again. When Rami's mother was pregnant, a voice told Ellen to call her child Ram, which is the Sanskrit word for God.
Ah, namaste.
And let's see, Rami, correct me if I'm wrong. And then when you were born, you still were given Gabrielle Janine Margron, but you were called Ram for a while.
Oh, that's right.
Which then became Rami.
I'm going to, from here on in, look at you this way, Rami, just because I can see both of you here. So if I turn like that, I'm talking to you.
It's perfect.
All right. And Cassidy, it's Malcolm Jamal Warner Brown is your middle name.
Exactly right.
Okay, perfect. I will never not think that joke is funny. No one else enjoys it, I'm sure.
Let's be clear, though. It's only funny coming from you.
It is?
Like if someone else started saying it, it'd be like, oh, God, shut up. But coming from you, it's funny because there's so much joy in it.
Okay.
He calls me Cassidy, and I hate it. I don't hate it when anybody calls me anything, but for some reason, when a certain group of people call me Cassidy, I hate it.
Are they kidding?
Yes.
Oh.
But there's something, there's an inherent, I didn't like it at one point for some reason, and they knew that, and they kept digging into it in a way that felt not fun to me. And as a result, now I'm stuck on that. Like, I know that you're actually coming from a place of slight not love.
Aww.
And I'm reading into that. It's dumb.
You know what I'm going to have to do now?
Heal that.
Call you Cassidy.
Yeah, you know what? I don't like it.
I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it.
And that's funny. No, I just felt, I was like, when you did it, I was like, oh, no, that did not feel
Oh,
good.
no, I don't like it. I don't like it.
Nope, no.
Never do it. Never do it.
No, I honestly don't think anybody can call me Cassidy now because it's ruined.
Okay. Cassidy Jamal. Where does the H go?
In the wrong place. I apologize to people who know how to spell Jamal. Jamal. There should not be an H in Jamal, but there is.
Shouldn't the H be after the J?
I think it should just not exist. But Amal has an H, and I think there was confusion with that name and my name.
Okay.
When
what is Jamal a reference to in your name, other than Malcolm Jamal Warner?
The quick version is when my mom was pregnant with me, she was a hippie in the 60s in the hate, and she was teaching at a school for pregnant teens, and it was pretty much all young Black women, and it was the late 60s, and so there were very specific like Arabic African names moving through their system.
I see. Through
my mom's awareness, and she wanted to be down because she was a hippie white lady who was down. And so that was part of it. That was the inspiration to be like, oh, I love these names. It's a little appropriative, but how it makes it okay is that their names are Jim and Molly. So phonetically, Jamal.
Oh.
And I just learned as an adult only 2 years ago that my brother's middle name is also a phonetic combination. His middle name is Gavin. Gregory Gavin Brown, which is a very patrician name, Gavin. But my grandfather's names are Gaston, and my other grandfather's name is John Van Young. His middle name is Van. So Gavan.
Wow.
And I just learned that after all these years. I've known my own version, but my brother's I didn't know was also one of those.
Fascinating.
We can move on.
And away we go. All right. So we'll close our eyes. And we'll just each consciously make the decision and have the intention to breathe into the low belly. Sending air, oxygen, inhalation down to the pelvic floor, the first and second chakras, which has the purpose of connecting us to our emotional center, one of them. Which allows us to have greater, faster, deeper access to the divine, the emotions being the midway point between the spirit and the body, spirit and this realm. Yeah. And as we consciously breathe into that low belly, we're going to feel our feet in contact with the floor. And we're going to see those little foot chakras spinning at the bottom center of each foot. Little foot chakras, like little hurricanes, little tornadoes spinning at the bottom center of each foot. We're going to watch those hurricanes, chakras, tornadoes spin and get bigger and bigger and expand, open and open, open and open, bigger and wider until the entire surface area of the bottom of each foot is a spun open chakra or field of energy, such that the entire surface area of the bottom of each foot for each of us here today is like an open window of light, of consciousness, allowing the electromagnetic field of each of our bodies to commune more directly and actively with the electromagnetic field of the earth. Oh, it is on, my friends. Okay. We're going to visualize those roots. We're going to see that we each have 500 energetic roots of our own energy fields extending into the planet through each foot, sending 1,000 energy roots from your body, being, soul, spirit, through your feet into the planet. 500 from the left foot and 500 through the right foot, digging into the layers of the earth, sending them down hundreds of miles into the planet. And as those roots continue to extend into the earth, we're going to visualize that grounding cord from the base of the spine, 1.5 feet wide for each of us. Just seeing this in your mind's eye, feeling it in your body if you can. Seeing that grounding cord from the base of the spine shoot to the center of the earth. Boom. Just a light tunnel shooting to the center of the earth, through which we receive immediately divine light from Sophia Gaia, the soul of the planet. And we're just going to imagine, visualize, allow a river of abundant light to flow up from the planet through that grounding cord into our root chakras, forward into each hip socket, down through the quads, glutes, hamstrings, knees, shins, ankles, and feet, calves as well, pouring over into those roots, back down into the planet, receiving from and giving to the earth, all in one cyclical 3-pointed tripod grounding structure. Okay. And so we do acknowledge the forces of light as we ground, asking for guidance, direction, and courage to know the truth as it is revealed for our highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to each of us. Holy Spirit of God, Amen. Protect me from all forms of self-centeredness, please, and direct my attention to the work at hand. Help me to know Gabrielle, Janine, Margron, Cassidy, Jamal Brown, myself, and the Divine Light Healing Center in the light of the Akashic Records. Help me to see myself, Cassidy, Jamal Brown, Gabrielle, Janine, Margron, and the Divine Light Healing Center through the eyes of the Lords of the Records, and enable me to share the wisdom and compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved ones of Cassidy, Jamal Brown, myself, Gabrielle, Janine, Margron, and the Divine Light Healing Center in Minkus, Colorado have for each of us and our collective here today. I'll just go quiet for one moment. And so just going to say then out loud, as we deepen now, each of us, into the Akashic Records of our individuated selves and of the collective of, I'll say, the four of us, myself, Gabrielle, Janine, Margron, here to referred to as Rami, Cassidy, and the Divine Light Healing Center. I'm asking that anything in the way in my field, Rami's, Cassidy's, or the Healing Center's field, that would stand in the way of us receiving the highest and best information and energetic healing we can each receive today, and that our souls require and desire. We ask for anything in the way of any of that to be cleared, lifted, removed, dissolved, integrated, uncreated, or destroyed, whichever is relevant. Each of us, for the sake of the highest level healing for each of us and all the people we will affect with said healing, all the people we will touch in more holistic, integrated, healthy, spiritually aligned ways as a result of this work today. Amen. Astagfirullah, astagfirullah, astagfirullah ladim. And if you could, beloved, feel into the backs of your hearts, so the heart chakra, but toward the spine, and then become aware of the nervous system along the spinal column, above and below the back of the heart. Be aware of all of that, and we'll do a little removal, clearing, transmutation of any just heavy energies in the nervous system, spinal column, back of heart. Feel and be present. Oof. Okay. So just a reminder for those who know, and a little info for if this is new, The nervous system, the spinal column, on the quantum level, is merged more direct, we should say intimately merged and unified with the unified field of consciousness, the field of the all that is. So the human being has running through itself, through the spinal system, the network of nerves, as it were, essentially the essence of the entire universe running through the spinal column. So this clearing just now was like a lightening of the layers on top of said unified field within your spinal column that keep you less connected to, or just a little hazed over in the space within your spinal column that is connected to the all that is. It was a removal of that which keeps you from living quantumly. And what does that mean? That means if you can live as an energy field, a being of light that is communing directly in every moment with the all that is, then you have greater capacity to fill in the blank, live, serve, enjoy, create, have abundance, flow, receive direct guidance, receive awareness. This is interesting. They're talking about, we wish to share, the Akashic records live in the quantum field. This is not something Katie's been speaking of much. It's because I didn't know. So when you are present in the Akashic records, yes, you are at the heart of the seat of the divine light source, and you are merged with the quantum field. Hence your ability in previous recent episodes to see the layers of dimensionality you've been speaking of, the sheets of light that we spoke of a few episodes back, whenever that was. Hence your ability to bend space and time. Hence your ability to heal across time, dimension, space, reality. The quantum field is the realm of the divine. The divine emanates from the realm of the quantum field, and vice versa. The quantum field emanates from the realm of the divine. Which comes first? Yes. Both. Either. And. One. Light. Okay, all is one. And so, let us begin with, do either of you have any desires, needs, questions, curiosities for us to begin with? And then we'll move into Katie's questions about her work.
I have to interrupt. I think we have to unplug your headset and use your laptop mic. The scraping is just too intense.
Scraping?
The scraping of the microphone.
It's worse now?
So I think we're better off with the not as good laptop mic than we are with the scraping headset mic.
Oh.
Does that make sense?
Why don't I hold it like this?
Okay, because even when you were holding it, it was still like banging around a little bit. And I just want us to have as pleasant an experience as possible.
Of course. No, you're right. But if I hold it like this, how's that?
That's a little better. That's probably fine. If you're going to consistently hold it, I just don't want to hamper you.
No, you're okay.
I want to free from.
I'm afraid that if I turn it to the other way, we'll get such shitty recording.
Yeah.
We'll miss everything.
No, we can hear. It's just a little like brassier of a sound, like open sort of thing. That's all. I think if you hold it, it's probably fine, but that might hamper you. That's all.
I'll try this. Let me know if it doesn't work, and then we'll switch to the.
Wait, Rami has the adapter. We're just going to clip it. Let's see if that helps.
Except then I'm still going to be moving a lot. Whoa.
Or not.
You got it?
I have one weird thought, Katie. Will you just put the headset on the counter in front of you? Just put the mic. So locate the microphone, center it on the, like as though it's a.
Yeah. How's that?
Talk a little bit.
Talking, saying words.
That's not bad at all. That's actually pretty good.
It's sitting on a thing that has a loud fan. I'm going to move
move it over there. Yeah, that's better. but don't get it too far away from you because it's supposed to be near your face.
I know. Hold on. Another yoga block. How's this?
Oh, Rami has a yoga block for you.
It's already on a yoga block. No, check it out. Right there? No, scoot those back a little bit. These? It's going to be so good. Okay.
It's going to be so good. Sorry to interrupt, but we got to do it.
How's that?
Oh, so much better.
Once again, Rami saves the day, everybody.
It's standard.
No, you're fine. Thank you for that, Cass. Here's the thing I want to say, which is so interesting. I'm trying to remember what happened recently. I think it was some integrative parts work I've done on myself that I have an easier time now staying in the records with my eyes open. But just recently, and my teacher who trained me in this work said, always do the records with your eyes open. And I could not do it with my eyes open. Mm-hmm. But now I can. And I think it was because whatever those injuries were that were unintegrated. Anyway, that's just a little teaching for anybody who's working on their stuff and in the records. Okay, so questions from either of you first. And don't feel, oh, it's just me about me. It's time for you about you.
Is there any useful about the fact that me and Cassidy have our records open together that you want that?
Okay.
What do you think, Cass?
Yeah, I love that idea.
I'll repeat it just in case for people. Yeah. Is there any thing that's useful to hear from the record keepers about the fact that Rami and Cassidy have their records open together? Yes. And so what would you like to share, record keepers, the record keepers of Cassidy and Rami? Do we want to hear from Rami's, Cassidy's? Okay, we'll start with Cassidy's. What is relevant about the fact that they're open together? Okay, so Cassidy, if you're open for it, there's a little healing that wants to happen here.
Bring it on.
Feel, Cassidy, if you could, into your first chakra at the base of the spine. Yeah. Okay. Feel into the genital area and any sexual shame and any embarrassment of your sexuality that you carry, any inadequacy, I'm not good enough because, Allah, hold and feel that in your body. Find it. Have you found it in your body?
Yeah.
Cassidy?
Yes.
Okay. As a sensation? Cassidy?
I don't know yet. I feel it as a sort of locality and maybe it's in my head. I don't know yet.
And what does locality mean?
It's sort of living like at the base of my spine, but sort of towards the back, almost like it's like in my poop zone.
Good. Perfect. Feel into that even more actively than you already are. We're going to work with that for a moment. That's it. Allah. Stay with whatever sort of density or awareness of sensation you have in that low back poop area. I mean, just watch it shift. Okay, and what's happening in that locality now?
My attention traveled up the column and started to sort of almost come out my mouth. My attention just started there. I don't know, like a flow occurred.
Cool.
It felt like just like feelings, generic
good. That's
emotion.
Precisely what it should be. Fantastic. Can you stay with that process for just another moment?
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever feelings are there, whatever locality you're present to. Okay. Mm. Mm. Okay, this is very cool. Before I go into what I'm getting, tell me a little more, Cass, about what's happening for you in that space, in the original place, the space between, the mouth, anywhere else, wherever.
I'm having little twitchies, which feel like little off gases. It's not a discomfort at all. It's just more of a like a pew, 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 pew. Just little like, kind of like you do with your head is happening in my like hips.
Yep. Yep.
Just
Right.
like, I just want to like, okay. Yep. But it feels really good. It feels very like, it feels pretty easy to release. Like, oh yeah. Oh, there you go. Let go of that.
Cool. Okay.
And yeah, I'm feeling like I'm seeing sort of how do I put it? Just sort of a like a lubricated column of flow happening from basically from my tailbone root through my mouth mostly.
Okay, so here's the information along with whatever that movement was that I receive. It's something like this. You know, in the kind of holistic spiritual perspective, oftentimes it is agreed upon that the life partner of a person, the whole purpose of having one is to bring about the deepest and greatest healing and transformation. Like, we are meant to trigger one another such that we look at our stuff and heal it. Now, do most people work with it that way? No. Most people say, I'm with you now because I'm sexually attracted to you, or I'm in love with you and that feels good. And then when we're not anymore, bye, I'm going to look for that feeling again. And through whatever set of circumstances you two have remained connected on the soul level, you continue to be that for one another. So what's wonderful is like, you're both doing other things on the sort of romantic levels and the feely levels with other people, and you continue to serve your soul purpose together. What a beautiful, magical gift that you might have said was created by, I don't know what you might have said it was created by, but what it's playing out as is this: on the soul level, you're doing for one another what you agreed to do in the first place, and what this is about, what your relationship is about, which is bring up for one another everything that needs to be faced within one another's self. Now, this piece here for you, Cass, was just more, I should say, this was just what was most palpable for me in this field with the two of you at this moment. So we started with that piece. But what the record keepers are validating is that you two are still serving the soul level purpose of your relationship together, just by continuing to relate and be triggered in the ways you get triggered. Well done, they say. All right. Other information for these guys? No. Other relevance to the records being open together? No. What other questions do either of you have on any topic at all?
That was just so unexpected that I'm just taking that as, I mean, I was going to ask for myself something about like being able to refine. Something's blocking me from engaging with a practice that I want of meditation or something that is grounding, and something has been blocking me from restarting that space. So that was what I was going to ask before Rami asked that amazing question, which triggered that awesomeness. And I kind of want to hear more about that. but
Oh,
Yeah, but I'm
from
actually
the
curious about
record
from Rami.
keepers?
Yeah,
You want to hear more from the record keepers or from Rami?
I want to honestly, but this is maybe my codependent speaking. I want to hear sort of Rami's end of that from the record keepers.
Oh,
because I feel like that was my end of it, but maybe not. Maybe that was our end of it.
You want me to have a healing too? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, of course I do.
okay. There's nothing up right now.
Great.
Is there, Rami?
I think on that topic, I have more curiosity about like it doesn't matter, but I have intellectual curiosity about like our soul's history together, or how we can maybe like I don't know, like that was super helpful and interesting, and is there anything that we can do to optimize each other and ourselves in that relationship? I don't know, optimize. That's a silly thing to say.
No,
that's
it's
a
not.
great word. I love
That's
it.
a great word. That's a perfect word.
And what my question would have been, what is holding us together and what is keeping us apart? And I feel like you have kind of answered that.
Yeah.
Is there more to that?
Okay, great. Rami's question, next question, in case people couldn't hear that, was what is holding them together and what is keeping them apart? And you're right, some of that has been addressed. What's holding you together is the soul agreement you made when you guys incarnated this time to serve one another as partners who bring up in one another, who bring out the best in one another and bring up for one another that which is untransmuted as of yet. So you're doing that successfully. What could be facilitated further is more active working with, in each of you, active working with in and of yourself, that which gets brought up by the others, whatever. So you have a conversation, let's say it's Rami having a conversation with Cassidy. He says words that are annoying. You get annoyed. And then you go, I shouldn't be so annoyed. And then you move on. Instead, they say, be annoyed, own the irritation, find in yourself where the irritation lives, sit with said irritation until it transmutes. You in particular, Rami, if I may, have quite an ability to, when you have a thing going on in your body, like a trigger, an issue or whatever, if you were to just sit with it and be present with it long enough, it would transmute and change because you're so tapped in organically, specifically like you have this, what I can feel is like almost the way that a plant is tapped into the ground. Like a plant feeds off of the light of the sun and the soil of the earth organically. That's what plants do. You are like that with the divine and then the earth. You're a plant. And so because you're so connected in those ways, if you just sit at the center of your irritation and go, I hate him, I hate him, I hate him, I feel that I hate him, I acknowledge that I hate him right now, I hate him, I hate him. That hate, and I'm making that up, not that you hate, but I'm using a silly example to make a point, will transmute before your very eyes into a neutrality where you have no response. You already have a fair amount of neutrality around a lot of everything, frankly, good for you. And if you are looking for some direction, use your dynamic with Cassidy as a place to dig into the remaining nuggets that get irritated by life. I mean,
I just want to add a piece of feedback about that is that our whole time in our relationship, Cassidy has always been that. Like there have been many times where my frustration with the world, like where it wasn't that there was strife between us, it was maybe the strife between me and the world, and Cassidy was always like an ally in me processing that. And so just the fact that you're saying that, but this is a slightly different twist, but still it is, I feel like that is something that we've always had some understanding of. But I see what the difference is. And I feel like Cassidy is safe enough for me to be able to process those things.
That's right. Can you hear Rami okay?
So just to let people know, Rami is safely masked and distanced from Katie in a way far part of the room. And you can hear them, but you can't, but that's why it's a little distant. And I think it'll be fine.
Okay, great. Yeah. So is there anything, record keepers, Lords, Masters, Teachers, for Cassidy and Rami that keeps them apart other than what's been stated? No, because you have the ability to be honest together. And just take that previous piece of feedback if you desire it, and that would be the little homework assignment. And for you, Cassidy, the same homework assignment would be every little trigger that occurs. Don't mentally dissociate away from it. Stay with it and let it transmute through you. Now, yours needs a little help and support because we have to get you tapped back in a little bit better, which brings us back to your question, Cassidy, which was, you've got some resistance, right, to doing meditative whatever connects you to you're not quite a plant. Rami is a plant. We want to get you closer to planthood.
Dandelion feather floating.
Okay, so let me see. Record keepers, can you show us where the block is for Cassidy? They say no. Okay,
They're saying just fucking do it, Cass.
No.
That's what they're probably saying.
Well, I said, is he blocked? And they say no. Can he choose just fine? Yes. Is there anything in the way? No. Well, okay, wait. Let me listen.
Sorry, I'm laughing so much.
No, laugh.
I love it.
You don't want to feel. That's all. You don't want to feel. And you know that when you sit down, before you get the relief, you have to feel feelings. So there's no actual energetic block or even the only mental block is, I don't want to feel. I refuse to feel. Now, here's the good news. All you need, really, before you go to sit is a little chit chat with the part of you that doesn't want to feel. You say to it, hey, buddy.
Oh my God.
I know that you don't want to feel right now. Because here's the thing, Cassidy, they say, you even will ignore the fact that you know you don't want to feel, which is another way to not feel. You see?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're saying, you say, hey, buddy, look, I know you don't want to feel. And I know that you know that we're probably going to cry for a second. And I want to remind you, right after we cry, like a second later, we're going to feel amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and do the thing that makes us feel. I'm going to set a timer. It's just going to be 10 minutes of feeling. So do you think you could survive 10 minutes of feeling? And you need to have a sincere chat with this part of yourself, not a flippant, just do what I say already because I should and I'm supposed to, and sit down and shut up and do it. That conversation will not work with your inner child who says, I'm actually quite afraid to feel. Thank you very much. Could you please honor that my feelings matter? And one of my main feelings is I don't feel safe feeling. Don't make fun of me for not wanting to feel. I'm scared, you know? So like if a baby came to you, or let's say a 3-year-old came to you and said, I'm really afraid to feel. I'm afraid to feel, Uncle Cassidy. I can't feel. You might give that kid a hug and say like, it's okay, buddy. I got you. How about we just feel for 1 minute and then we'll just go play outside. That's how you work with kids. You don't tell them, sit the fuck down and feel. You don't talk that way. So we're building a new relationship between adult Cassidy, who's very accomplished and very good at getting stuff done when Little Cassidy doesn't want to. And we're building a new relationship with little Cassidy to say, buddy, for real, I get it. I don't like to feel either. Can we do it together for 1 minute and then go play? And you must reward him. This is how parenting works. The main parenting all of us are doing is the reparenting of ourselves in the places that just for whatever reason didn't integrate fully. How does that land so far?
So I'm floored by you're saying almost verbatim what I was saying to one of my clients yesterday in a training. Like almost verbatim. Like it makes that's bang. That's where these tears are coming from. Like I fucking spent an hour and a half trying to convince someone of this. And now it's like, yeah, right. What were you saying? 100%. So that's it's landing really good.
Okay.
Deep.
And you understand the reason people like yourself and Katie do the kind of work you do coaching is to remind you of what you already know. You get to say it to them so you hear yourself say it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
It's beautiful. And so one last little piece that may facilitate some ease in this realm would be start with feelings when you go to meditate. And one way that could work, should you feel so inclined, would be to write down the first feeling you're having that you don't want to have. I don't want to feel the sadness I feel. You just write it as a sentence, or you could say it out loud. I don't want to feel the sadness I feel. And in saying the truth, I don't want to feel the sadness I feel, you will feel the sadness you feel. Start with the feelings. And then when you've said them all, named them all with your voice, the doorway will open to the silence and the peace and the light that you've been building this connection with. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, all right. Do either of you have one last question?
I have a million questions, but I'm really excited to get to your detective work.
Okay. Rami says they have a million questions, but are excited to get back to the detective work. They want me to get there's one more question in the field that I think wants to be, I think it's from you, Rami. What's kind of top of mind?
For me?
Yeah.
I mean, just in that moment, I was like, how do I successfully get myself to sit my ass down and do meditation?
Okay. Let me ask. So in case they didn't hear, how does Rami get themselves to sit down and do meditation? And is it the same? It's not the same. Oh, okay. For you need only ideally go outside to the park and sit on the ground you plant and open your heart to consciously open your root just through imagination. I see my root chakra opening. I see a little grounding cord going down. I open my heart. I receive up from the earth. I open my crown. I connect my heart up to the infinite through the top of my head. I expand my energy field. They want me to show you the toroidal field that we talked about before. I'm going to show you that. And when I show you that image, that's actually, wow, that's so funny that we were talking about that before. That's an important image for you because when you sit, first of all, they say, take away the idea of meditating, throw it out the window.
Okay.
Yeah. There's this pressure with that, and it's supposed to feel a certain way. And you say that you have to do it right. And there's all this judgment on it. Nah, sit on the ground, open the first chakra, root down, open the heart, let the earth shoot up through the midline and nourish the heart. See the heart connecting up through the crown. See a line of energy from the heart straight through the crown up. Then see the toroidal field arise, which is for the listener, Google toroidal field because I cannot describe it. Okay, it looks like a donut around your body because the top of the channel of your portal at the two sides of the top of the tunnel that come out the crown of the head bend to the right and left and touch down to the earth. And then the two sides of the tunnel of the portal that go down to the center of the earth bend up and meet with the top two lines, which is hard to explain. And then that whole thing surrounds you like in a donut. So picture your whole body surrounded by a donut of light made up of a light grid. And I'll show you the image and you please, people listening, Google it. So for you, Rami, when you sit on the earth and just visualize that, open your heart, expand, see the toroidal field emerging. It's like this. You just become consciously the plant that you already are. For you, it's about the more you do that, sitting on the ground, like ass on the ground, not in a chair, not on a bench, the more you will experience yourself as that which we are naming now. You already are it. It's just that you often don't experience yourself as it. And you need to experience yourself as it in order to honor who you really are. In sort of in the spiritual realm, in the wholeness of you. Right? Now, they're talking about something about identity. They're like, if you've ever wondered, Rami, about who you are, what is my identity? That question gets answered through your visceral experience of sitting your butt on the ground, doing this imagery, and allowing in the way that a plant receives phytonutrients from the light of the sun and the soil, allowing the sun and the soil to hit energetically your third chakra, Rami, you will know who you are in totality when you do that practice consistently. Let the light of the sun and the richness of the underneath, the soil, merge into your third chakra and dissolve for you. Everything you've been taught was who you should think of yourself as. You are none of the things you should think of yourself as. You are not this or that, or not this or that. You're not even the not this or that. You are the oneness of where the sun meets the soil. You are the light. And we wish for you to experience yourself as the light in your third chakra. Why the third chakra? Because the third chakra is the seat of the self for the human mammal. We know ourselves through the third chakra. When there is dad injury from dad, or absent dad, or challenge with dad, or dad is sick, or dad is alcoholic, or dad is unavailable, whatever with dad, for all of us, the third chakra doesn't develop completely and we feel confused. Not to blame dad, but we must understand that with child rearing, in the same way that when you put a plant in a window, if it's the kind of plant that needs a lot of light, great that it's in the window. If it's the kind of plant that needs a lot of shade, don't put it in the window, dad. Okay. So similarly with the human child, dad has to have a really effective functioning relationship with child in order for the child to feel fully wholly themselves and clear about who they are in the world. Amen. Okay. So questions, Rami?
That is all very useful.
That is all very useful, they say.
I'm just thinking about my dad.
Now they're thinking about their dad. Yes.
I'm going to pipe in here and just say we're pretty close to our 2-hour mark, but we really want to do the other thing. And so we're going to go a little bit over. Oh, you have to teach at 11?
I have to teach in 2 minutes.
Oh shit. No.
You know what we're going to have to do is we're just going to have to tape another one while I'm out here.
All right. We'll do a short edition. We'll just go right in and add this on.
Sure. I'm not worried about it, you guys. I'm going to be doing this question that I need to do anyway, like a lot while I'm here. So don't worry.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I piped up about the time because you got to go teach.
Thank you.
That was phenomenal. I know you got to close the record. So, oh my God.
Hallelujah. Namaste. I love you both. Thank you for being here. And, it's always valuable for other people to listen to a couple or a pair of soul teammates, whatever you guys want, words you want to use, life partners, to hear people who relate regularly, deal with each other on the soul level. That is always valuable for our listeners. So thank you both for your honesty and for ushering us into that conversation. That's so big. Also, the value they're talking about, the value of hearing how different your processes are. For other people to hear that, that's very big, because one of the big misconceptions in spiritual land that I talk about all the damn time is there's some right way to do it. That's what fucks everyone up. There are right ways for the individual, but not for all the individuals. Okay, you get it. All right.
100%.
We want to thank the masters, teachers, and loved ones for their love and compassion, the lords of the records for their point of view, and the Holy Spirit of light for all knowledge and healing. I ask that you return all of Cassidy Jamal Brown's energy to himself, and Gabrielle Janine Margron's energy to themselves, and the Divine Light Healing Center's energy to itself, and my energy to myself. The Divine Portal and the Akashic Records of all four of us are now closed. Amen. Yeah, the Divine Portal and the Akashic Records for all four of us are now closed. Amen. The Divine Portal and the Akashic Records for all of us are now closed. Amen, amen, amen. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammad abduhu wa rasulullah. I love you. Do your work, everybody. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Do your work.
You.
Say, do your work, Rami.
Do your work.
What are you asking for? All of the answers? Say what? All of the answers? Yeah, all the answers.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. We'd love to hear from you. Please email us with your questions so that we have questions to answer in the Akashic Records. Our email address is allanswerspod@gmail.com. That's allanswerspod@gmail.com. And if you'd like to find us on Facebook or Twitter, it's @allanswerspod, @allanswerspod. Thank you.
I think that's good. I'm gonna go with it. I'm doing it. Backing it up, hitting record, recording. Pow skis.
That was a Sounds Awesome production.